Manjola, if you want to get going.
Awesome. Thank you, Diana. Thanks for the bringing all of us together. It is a pleasure to be here. And once again, good morning, good evening, good day to each and every one of you. I'm sure this is a truly a global event where we have a participants across the globe. It's been my pleasure and honor to bring stalwarts here for your access to just get to know what is happening in the AI world, agentic AI, generative AI, whatever you're talking about, what is that AI careers are taking you through. So this is going to be the 2-day session we have just curating from UiPath 8-day workshop, what we have just done, agentic AI training. Followed by that, this is going to be the preview for you to connect with the excellent industry experts who's going to give you the pathway for you to figure it out what is your career. So let me share my screen. Great. So once again, this is the career blueprint where we are just going to walk through today a 2 days journey, today and tomorrow, to witness the two different aspects for you. So what is that we are just going to do on a day one? The day one, we are just going to talk about the career blueprint of how people are just shaping the HR and the industry. So we are going to talk about it, and day two we are just going to talk about the individual journey for your own career track. How are we going to do that? So this is the next innings, and where we are proud to create a partnership with UiPath to bring this session to you. Just a quick, many of you know about the Next Innings by now, but if you're new to the program, you would like to know more about Next Innings, I'll take few minutes to talk about that. So our journey in India, we started with her second innings and we made it as a global entity, the Next Innings. So from her second innings to the Next Innings, our motto is very simple. We would like to empower the talent and make it an inclusive future for all. So we started in 2015 as an ideation, started our foundation in 2017, and 2018 we started our social enterprises. Today we are having a 2 lakh community member, close to around 20 plus Fortune 500 clients, and a complete ecosystem with the corporate, industry, startups, community, and government. So this is one of the event where you can witness that how we can just bring globally the professionals, industry experts together to create an inclusive future for all. So what do we do here? So we just create a hiring partner for most of the corporate clients, and we create learning solutions for our community, and we also take up the project support activity, whether it is a development or a back-end office support. We just do that. Apart from that, we bring the community together. So that's all we do in our organization. From UiPath, we have just connected from 2018, and we keep just, this is our first batch and first pick where we went to the Bangalore office and we clicked the pick, and proud of just starting this small, and today we are witnessing a bigger community globally. Thanks to everybody in UiPath, including Diana. Diana is instrumental to bring us together. Thank you, Diana. And the kind of a program where you can just pick it up is dynamic. Most of the corporate create a dynamic program based on the strategy and the workforce planning with us. And we do have a regular program other than a corporate exclusive program on full stack data science, testing, HR, and all those programs, what we do for our community member. Okay, so now let's just talk about you, where we are just going to talk about the 2 days. What are you going to get out of this program? So, the day one, I'm excited to just talk about it, what we are just going to bring it to you. So, this is a holistic view where you're going to get it from how is the HR itself has been changed because of AI, the hiring process. That's the one you are going to get that. Not only that, because this has changed, like AI has changed the HR hiring in a completely a different dimension. You're also going to hear about it, how is the industry, corporate, the roles also have been evolved. So that's the today's first topic you're just going to hear about it. Once you know this, what is happening in HR and the hiring space, the technically what people are going to look into that. The next we are just going to talk about industry experts who's right now is leading the AI divisions. They are going to talk about how is their AI roles they have been expanded, how is the manual roles have been getting disappeared, and how do you just navigate your career to the next level. So we are just going to have an industry expert talk where we are going to understand the holistic way of HR and technology, how it is getting navigated. So that's our day one we are just going to talk about. And to do this day one discussion, I have eminent speaker assembled across the globe, where we have just brought it for you to have it for sitting in your home in the laptop to access the experts over to you. So first we are just going to bring Thiaga. So Thiaga is the director, and Eightfold is AI is a HR tech organization. More than 8+ years they are creating this solution and working with Fortune 500 clients. And he is going to talk about how is this dynamics have been changed in HR hiring space through the technology. How is that industry is now looking at the different lens for the hiring. So both we are just going to understand here. And followed by that, as I said, we are just going to create exciting session with the industry experts. Supreet HVR is just a principal enterprise architect from Rhythmix. Not only that, his previous 2 decades of experience, you can go back to Wells Fargo, Bosch, where he has just created a amazing architecture solution. And then he is going to talk about how he is looking at the industries are shaping up for the new roles. That's what Supreet is going to bring it. Then we do have a Jason. Jason is amazingly working on an AI space, AI assistant and user experience, etc. He works as a senior manager at Autodesk. So he is going to talk about how is the global shift is happening about the technology as well as the hiring rules part of it. Then we do have a Lakshmi Narasimhan, and he is a director engineering in Capital One. And just to talk about Lakshmi, he comes from the Amazon, Uber world to just know about it. He breathes in technology. He leads the technology AI division over here, and also his one of the passion is to support a transition of careers from one to another. So he is also coach for that. So he is going to talk about how the technology is getting evolved. So literally we have just chosen the right people for you to talk about it. So Lakshmi is one among that panel today. He is going to represent. And finally, not the least, the finally I'm just going to talk about AB Modi, especially about it. So Modi is a one person where he just works in a pharma AI agentic solution. The one of the reason where we picked up Modi is he never been in the corporate for 17+ years, so which is something amazing. And he just pivot himself for now and then to just lead into the technology what we can just breathe about it. So he is going to talk about without in the corporate also, how do you be in the technocrat and then just lead your passionate life to bring your happiness. So this is what I'm just going to bring all the speakers insights to you today, and hopefully we would be able to create an impactful day for you for a day one. So now that you have a holistic picture, so what are we going to do for a day two? So day two, we are just going to talk about you. It's a personalized journey. We are just going to bring it to you. So the day two, you would be just talking to a change makers. So sometimes what happens when you see someone, oh, when that person can do it, why can't I do? I can also would be able to do. So that's how we learn and then just get inspired. To create that inspiration, we do have a change makers change makers, people like you, how they have just navigated their journey. While we are talking, we are seeing a big picture, but what was the background, was happened through them. So we are going to talk about change makers, and followed by that, your personal mentor session. So we have curated the tracks for you, depends on your career interest. We have a track for architect, developer, project manager, BA, and non-tech careers. And then how do you just build your profile to attend your interviews? So we have amazing 5 tracks. You can be part of any of the track. Quickly, just to give you that, so that you would be having that excitement to watch what's going to happen tomorrow. Change makers are going to be Vianta is coming from a non-tech background, where she started her journey with a social worker masters, and right now she is just heading the strategy architect in a Cognibots. So she's going to talk about it. And AB Modi, as I said about it, never been into the corporate, but still he is just leading the life with the technology and the entrepreneur. We would like to understand how is he doing that journey for us to correlate and then getting inspired. And finally, we are going to talk about Saumya is a program manager from taking a sabbatical break. She has just resumed as a program manager and managing the AI projects and idea tribe. So this is all about a change maker's journey you're going to hear tomorrow. Followed by that, your track, you would be part of it. So as I said, we are just kept architecture track, where you can just join Supreet and Eric to understand how the technology is shaping your personalized queries you can get addressed. And we also develop a track. Enrico from Europe is joining, and he's just going to talk about, he's part of EY, he's going to talk about, and you can get to know more about your developer queries from Enrico. And then you do have a BA/PM track. Both Atul and Tracy are going to come and talk about how you can shape up your career for BA and PM. Anything you would be able to get addressed from them. And we do have an interview prep session where Lakshmi and Courtney are going to talk about, if at all you are just ready for your transition, how do you prepare for interview? The practically, what are all the steps to be done apart from keeping your resumes? So you can just get it from Lakshmi and Courtney about that. And finally, if you are in a non-tech career thinking of how do I come back to AI, so we do have 2 speakers who are just going to be a mentor for you tomorrow. Nida is just the founder. She is just based out of Singapore and India, where she is just created her own journey. So she would be able to talk about. Similarly, Darshan comes from the tech world to just talk about how the non-tech people can just join into the tech part of a AI career. So with that, I am excited to get started our career blueprint a day one with you. And I'm pleasure and proud to just bring our first speaker over here, Thiaga. Thiaga is just comes with the engineering background, and he has been playing with the AI HR tech world. And a pleasure to bring you here, Thiaga. And also thanks for accepting our invite to be part of it. Over to you, Thiaga. Welcome to the session.
Hi everyone, this is Thiaga. Let me just quickly share my screen. Okay, I hope it's visible.
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah.
Amazing. So first of all, thank you all of you guys to who have joined this call, and I know I heard a lot of things about this event from Manjula when we were, discussing about me participating and presenting some of my learnings over here. And this is one of my most interesting topics because we have been doing this at Eightfold for a while now, and my journey at Eightfold has been around 4 years now. And our mission has always been about finding the right career at the right time for everyone, right? And that's the mission statement that Eightfold has been trying to pursue in different forms. So I'm happy to share some of the learnings, right? I'm sure some of you are new to Agentic AI. Some of you would have been already tinkering with these technologies, and some of you are also experts. So I've tried to keep it as digestible as possible, so that post this session, we understand how things are evolving, how can we look at in a more structured way, and also get familiarized with the nomenclature. I'm sure, a lot of people will be talking about agentic AI in our other sessions. So I try to give like a brief intro as well around these things, and also share some of the learnings through my journey. So if you look at the agenda, we're going to look at a couple of topics. One is more on introduction, just to share what Eightfold has been doing, and what has been my journey with Eightfold as well. And second is we'll also learn something new, half-life of a skill. So given that, a lot of you guys are in the process of, upskilling and reskilling, so it will be an interesting topic to learn about. And then we'll jump into agentic AI, right? Like the hype versus reality, where are we heading? And also we'll talk about how LLMs, when the journey from LLMs to agentic AI, the entire spectrum of products in between, right? Like how we can actually look at it. And then also a few learnings from the hiring landscape, right? Like what are the changes? How, if you're somebody, who's looking out for your next opportunity, what are the things that have changed, right? So that's going to be the simple agenda. And if you have any questions, feel free to put it in chat, or just feel free to interrupt me as well. You don't need to park your questions at the end. That's totally fine. All right. So Eightfold AI, right? I'm sure some of you would have, noticed some of the career sites, right? Like at the bottom, it says powered by Eightfold AI. A lot of the company career sites, you would have observed it. So Eightfold AI is a company in HR tech space. We basically built the first talent intelligence platform about 8 years back. And our vertical AI is trained on billions of career paths and skill transitions that allows you to understand a profile, understand the opportunities that would match with them, and not just hire for how good match they are, but also whether do they have growth path in the given career, right? So traditionally, people used to like optimize resumes for keywords, right? Because that certain ATS will reject or accept, based on some keywords. So we try to optimize a lot of these things. Eightfold try to make a dent in that space, where we said we don't want to just scan your resume, but also understand your career path and surface the right opportunities. For example, right, let's say you are a product manager. Let's say you're an engineer, right? Now, if you typically apply for a product manager, the likelihood of you getting visibility from the recruiter is lower, right? Because you may not have the right tags or right skill sets that are present in your resume. But Eightfold tries to understand more than the tags or the skills that you mentioned. It tries to understand like the projects that you have worked on, and also map that whether you have an inclination towards certain types of skills or projects that can be transferred. So with that, um, you are able to map the right set of profiles to the jobs. I think my screen share stopped. Let me quickly again share.
Yeah, the screen is.
Yes. Yeah, sorry for that. I think there's an update which is coming for me all the time, so it's, I think, blocking it. So uh, I'll be mindful. Yeah. All right. So in short, right, like it kind of helps companies to enable skill inference and intelligent matching. And we also help doing internal mobility, career pathing, and also we also have um, diversity and bias reduction in hiring as well. So a lot of these systems actually have biases in the system. So for example, right, like we do lot of anonymization of the profile so that the bias is eliminated from these systems. Only in advanced stages actually we reveal a lot of this personal information. So so these are the things that Eightfold generally does, and we work with all the uh, popular or big brands around the globe. Mostly these are Fortune 500 companies. We do work with NVIDIA, Microsoft, Salesforce, and a lot of other companies which have massive impact. We also work in retail segment, for example, with Starbucks. And we also work with state clients across the globe. For example, we work with New York Department of Labor. We also work with Colorado and a lot of other state clients as well. So that is what Eightfold has been doing. So again, this session is pretty close to me because this is a space that we have been operating on. So my journey at Eightfold, to be honest, right, like when I started, I was not really an agentic AI or even an AI person. I started more on full stack applications, more inclined towards front end, and probably in the last 4 years, I have transformed myself in my own journey. So now I'm basically building or leading the initiatives around agentic AI for enterprise HR, and I work closely with the customers to understand their problem statements, see how our solutions work for them, and for example, we have launched AI Interviewer, uh, which is basically your first interview with the company is through an AI interviewer. So a lot of people, we generally complain about not getting a interview when we apply, right? So what we are trying to do is, can we make everyone interview with the AI interviewer, right? So that everyone gets a chance. So that's one of the products that we have launched recently, and we have also awarded at HR Tech, which was recently um, conducted in Las Vegas, and we were awarded as the top HR product. Um, so yeah, so that's my little journey with Eightfold. And of course, there were like many, many, many lessons that I've learned throughout this part. Of course, like around the technology um, itself, but I think also around this domain as well, right? There's a lot of common learnings as well. For example, building trust in the systems, because uh, with all these agentic AI solutions being more autonomous, obviously makes it more powerful. But at the same time, it's important to build the trust and explainability of these decisions that these systems take. So there were a lot of learnings, of course, and I'll try to share some of these in this presentation as well. So the world of work is changing fast, right? Um, when I say changing fast in the sense is the type of jobs that are getting created, the demand of the jobs as well is changing very rapidly. So let me quickly share my screen once again. Okay, so so definitely it is changing very fast. For example, right, since a lot of you have some background in programming, right? I just try to bring out this stat, right, like from GitHub. So obviously year on year, right, like every programming language has its own demand and hype, right? For example, if you see over here on the bottom, it's the axis of years, and on the left side, if you see, is the axis of distinct user contributing to projects, each language, right? It's being ranked. So basically think of the left side axis to be popularity, right? So if you see the green line for Python, right? From 2014, it has been increasing, right, till 2014 or 2024, right? And clearly, if you see PHP, it's having a decline, right? So obviously, every year or say, right, like we do calibrate ourselves, right? Are we learning the right skills? The current skills, do they matter to the market? Is there a demand for it? Is there a growth opportunity over there? So this is a very small subset of skill sets that you could define, but obviously there's a range of skills that we acquire as well, right? Not just technical skills, but also soft skills too. So, to this group, right, I wanted to introduce the word or the terminology called half-life of a skill or skill half-life. So what does it mean is any skill, right, will have its own phase of demand and also descent, right? So it's basically the amount of time after which the value of that skill is less than 50% roughly, right? That is what half-life is. Or you can, in a very simple term, you can say how long the skill is relevant and valuable, right? Not all skills will all of a sudden disappear. For example, like PHP, even though it is not the most popular programming language, it does still cease to exist, right? Like there are some systems that PHP is being used, or maybe there are certain use cases where PHP might be still relevant. But of course, it's no more in a state where, there is an increase in demand and adoption, right? So every skill has its half-life, roughly, right? And there's also like average skill half-life as well. So to this group, right, let's say 40 years back, what would be the skill half-life on an average, right? Irrespective of the domain. Anyone wants to take a guess, maybe on a chat or something? Let's say anyone wants to say, like 40 years back, if I learn a skill, how many years that skill would be valid? Okay, see 5 years. Okay, you started 5 years, five. Okay, great. 3, 20. Okay. All right. So I see a lot of guesses. So 40 years ago, right, skill lasted a decade. So if you're working 40 years back, if you learn something that day, at least for 10 years, right, that skill was pretty much valid, right? What about today, right? Like what is the average half-life of the skill? Okay, I see 2 years, 1 year, 4 months, 2 to 3 years. Okay, 1 week. All right. So closer to the answer. So today, right, like based on World Economic Forum, right, like the half-life is just 4 years. Okay. Um, this is a average on a very large spectrum of skills and domains, right? And if you just take like specifically like the AI space, right? It just comes. Any guesses how much this would be? Okay, so I already see a lot of guesses again closer. So today is like barely 2 years, right? So what it means is if you learn something today in this field, right, within 2 years, probably, we will already see the decline um, in the demand of that skill, right? So if you just go and plot these numbers, right, it's a declining graph. So we are going closer to 2 years, even for the average half-life skill for any domain per se, not just AI, right? Like in the next 2, 3 years, probably we'll reach that quickly. So it's important. Why I wanted to introduce this concept overall is that we are in a world where uh, the half-life of skill is gonna drastically reduce, right? Maybe it becomes 1 year, then 2 years, right? So it is super important that we keep consistently thinking about upskilling and reskilling. And I'm happy that this group is actually thinking about it. So it's all worth the investment, right? In whatever form you're doing, especially in the AI space, right? Like things move super fast. I generally use this terminology called fast AI. So there's a slow AI and there's a fast AI. 2 years back, right, like entry to AI was very hard. Like there was a lot of learning required. There were a lot of uh, training that was required, even in terms of academic training, to be able to contribute in AI. Today, if you see, right, like it's pretty easy to start using generative AI and build applications on top of it, right? So, but it doesn't mean that fast AI is better than slow AI or something. It's just that these are two different types of problems. The way I compare is slow AI is a different type of muscle and different type of training where you're basically climbing a mountain, right? Where you might have to be slow, but you need to have a stamina to be able to reach the top. So you're focusing on different types of metrics, different types of goals that you want to achieve. Compared to fast AI is almost like it's running a sprint, right? It's a different expectation. There's a different types of goals that you're trying to achieve, different types of problems you're trying to solve. So in any organization, both would exist. It's not like one will exist and the other will not. But personally, I find, right, like fast AI has a big opportunity in front of has given a big opportunity in front of us, and it's up to us to whether we want to seize the moment and capitalize on it, right? So it's important that you keep on evaluating your skills half-life. Where are you, and what are the next set of skills that you should be looking at? So the next is, right, like on a lighter note, with I see this meme everywhere, right? Like AI agents everywhere, right? Like everyone is talking about it. Everyone claims that they have an agentic AI solution. Um, and yes, there is a lot of chatter in the market, but what is the reality, right? Like, is there a market for it? Is there an opportunity for career in this space? Of course, we need to validate that. Um, so if you look at this chart, right, um, the x-axis over here at the bottom is the timeline, the years, and the y-axis on the left, if you see, is the organizations that use AI in at least one business function, right? So if you see, there was almost like from 2019 to 2023, um, there was a plateau. But from 23 to 25, right, like this has increased, right? Um, and the more interesting observation is that majority of these are all use of Gen AI, right? So generative AI can also, you can say that it's a sub part of AI, but majority of the focus now looks like on more on generative AI. And it's an upward trend, right? So this is something that we can take positively, that there is a upward trend in adoption of generative AI itself. So also, if you see in terms of the market that right now exists for this space, um, so currently this is around $5.2 billion, right? Like in 24, if you estimate it. Maybe it's already more than that. And it is expected to grow to $196 billion by in another 10 years, right? So definitely it's a big market altogether. Obviously, you will see a lot of companies are capitalizing on it, like large companies like Nvidia, capitalizing on this story. But yes, I think the numbers do tell, right? Like it is a solid market to be in, right? And the best part, it is growing as we speak. So given that, right, like I think we need to understand the nomenclature that we are gonna work with, right? For example, people talk about agents, people talk about agentic AI, agentic workflows, agents, LLMs, reasoning model, and all of that. So I think it is important that we understand what are the differences. So I'm going to try to go through some of these with few examples. So we have started from LLMs, probably like 2 years back. That is where this journey has started, and within last 2 years, right, we are now talking about agentic AI. So there has been a journey to it, and I wanted to probably just go through what are the different models or different solutions that we have, and not necessarily everything has to be solved with a very complex solution, right? You can always pick and choose what works best for the use case, right? So especially when you are an AI practitioner, this would definitely help, right? So the first thing, right, I'm gonna show you uh, an image and probably ask, right, like, how many of you have seen multiplication tables when you were in school? I hope everyone sees this and remembers those old days, right? So, how do we learn these tables, right? We just read out and rhyme it, right? We don't really understand what it does, right? Obviously, like a first standard kid, or who's maybe like 5 years or 10 years old, right? They do not really know what it means, but somehow we rhyme it, right? Like we know, okay, one threes are three, two threes are six, right? And we just keep on memorizing it. It's a rhythm that we create and we understand, right? So let's say if I go and tell a school student that, hey, you have learned, table multiplication table for 1, 2, 3. And if I go and ask something like, okay, what is 45 multiplied by 7? Do you think anyone will be able to answer that question? Just learning the tables? The simple answer is no, right? Like they do not know. Like it's all memory, right? They just learn the rhythm, but they do not know uh, how to think and reason about it. Okay. So, so that's what like LLMs are like, right? Like they just keep on speaking, right? You ask something and it just keeps on throwing something at you, right? And it does decent job, right? As long as it has seen enough data, right? It does actually answer some of the questions well, right? But things get complicated when you ask a slightly more complex problem to solve, right? For example, let's say the same thing, right? Like if I give a bigger number to multiply with, um, a, a school student will not be able to do it until unless, a high school student probably who has learned how multiplication works, how to do carry forwards. If they are able to do that kind of reasoning, they will be able to solve more complex problems, right? So that's where the reasoning models came in, right? And reasoning models, they just don't simply talk. They also start thinking about it. So when we say think, it's just that it was able to create like a chain of thought so that it is able to make observations, look at those observations, and then uh, tell you what the result would be, right? Okay, let me quickly share screen again. Sorry for that. Okay, so then now the intermediate step came in, right? Like now LLMs can actually think as well, right? Like it can create a chain of thought and then respond to you. So with this, actually, we were able to solve slightly harder problems, right? Where it was not just simply, throwing tokens, but now you also have some intermediate stage. The third step, right? That is where I think, a lot of new applications started being built. That was when we introduced the capability to act, right? So when I say act, what does it mean, right? Like, obviously you can now reason, you can rationalize your thought, but you also wanted to be able to interact with the external environment, right? When I say external environment, meaning could be different system altogether. Can I actually read from a different system? Can I write back to different system? So that became very important, and that's where we started exposing a bunch of stuff. So we said, we'll give you memory, right? Can I give the LLM the option to go and retrieve or also write memory, which might be useful later in certain steps, and also give access to tool ecosystem, right? Like where I can actually interact with the environment outside. So you are now able to act as well. This is where a large number of applications started coming in. So that was probably the aha moment of generative AI, and that is where a lot of hype got generated. So once the agents came in, um, different architectures were born as well, right? Like it's not as simple as just exposing tools and giving one big prompt and say, hey, you go and solve this problem. Whereas that is also a type of architecture. But if you look from the axis of control, the more simplified architecture it is, the more control you're giving to the LLM, to the brains of the agent, where you define the meta level goal and say you need to reach it. It can actually go keep on planning, keep on repeating till it is able to achieve the goal. Or you can make it very deterministic by using a router architecture as well, where you are actually defining a workflow where you say, hey, these are the steps that you need to follow in order to reach a certain goal. So within the spectrum, there are many, many architectures that one can use. I would strongly suggest to go through some of the documents, the links that I have curated, which I think we'll share post the meeting as well, so that you can actually understand different types of architectures that one you can use to build an agent. The two which you see on the diagram are probably the most simplest one, but a lot of majority of the use cases actually are solved by a simple router architecture or the right one, which we also call as React architecture as well. So depending on how autonomous you want, you can pick these options. So once agents started coming in, that is where people thought about, um, can we give more autonomy of even how you perform these operations? Can we recalibrate these steps as well, right? Like that is where agentic AI came in. To be honest, agentic AI is still evolving. You will see a lot of people interchangeably use the term agents and agentic AI. The way, at least, I would see it is the core difference is more around that in an agent, the objective is pretty much fixed, right? But in agentic AI, the objectives also can be created by the system itself, right? It can actually learn the environment, how the systems are behaving, and it can actually go and recalibrate itself um, uh, based on these learnings, right? So it has a very meta level goal, right? For example, if I
Yeah.
want to give
Excuse me.
differences, say for
Tiaga, sorry.
yes,
Yes, we have to go a little faster because a lot of questions
yes,
are waiting for you. So I need
no
to
worries,
just
no
ask
worries.
those as well. Please go faster.
No,
Sorry.
no worries, no worries. So,
Yeah.
so luckily we are almost at the end, so no worries.
Okay.
So the goal is that the goal for agentic AI is slightly open-ended. For an agent, it is slightly more deterministic, and we let the system actually recalibrate itself to define the sub goals and meet those sub goals to achieve the high level goal. So it both have like a lot of commonality, like a lot of things are very common for them. For example, the autonomy, responding to the prompts, using of tools and APIs. So all of those are pretty much similar between an AI agent and an agentic AI solution. So there are core primitives. Again, you can always look at it later. So one is RAG, basically, how do I plug in external knowledge to my system? Memory, different types of memories that agent can use. Tools and APIs, again, to plug into the external systems. MCP is just more standardized interface that is now available to plug even external tools. And there's also planning orchestration layer, right? Like how can you express plans and that an agentic AI can actually leverage to recalibrate itself, right? So you will probably have to look for these primitives when you are building some of these solutions, right? Hiring landscape. One of the things which has become very common now is AI interviews. Um, Ranging from simple screening round, like for example, for barista, you might just get an AI interview. You don't even have to go in person and meet those meet anyone to do an interview. Till the range of doing vibe coding with an agent. With this is an actual screenshot of Eightfold's own AI interviewer, where you literally have like a code editor and an agent is sitting and actually asking you the questions and um, understanding what you're typing and contextually prompt you. So these are the kind of changes as a candidate, you might be able to see very soon, right? And these are things actually, customers are using in production. So, so you need to, as compared to your conventional interviews, I think, we might need to prepare ourselves for these new types of interviews as well. One of the most important job of 2026, right, is a AI agent orchestration specialist. This was a very interesting blog post that was written where one of the finding is, right, like 82% of the executive expect that, AI agents in their workforce within the 18 months, but only 23% feel very confident about their integration, right? So it is very important. This is a space that is growing more and more with companies adopting these solutions. Um, Having somebody who can actually orchestrate these agents, measure effectiveness of it, understand the governance for those systems, and make sure that you're able to get the ROI from the system, right? I think is going to be very crucial because obviously, people are investing in these solutions. They're going to look for ROI as well, right? So these are new type of skills that are emerging. So yeah, so I'm gonna also invite you if you are interested, look at Eightfold. We are hiring. We have roles across the region. We have office in Santa Clara, we have headquarters in Santa Clara. We have offices in India, in Bangalore and Noida. We also have an office recently in London as well. So if you are interested, please do check out the career site. So I'll quickly stop here. Thank you, everyone. I know I took a lot more time. So I'll stop here. Any questions we can open here.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Thiyagaraj. Though we took a little longer, at least we got an end-to-end perspective of what is that HR tech is just pulling a component to make it effective, as well as we also got to know about the upskill life, what we are talking about, so that just gives a curiosity for people to just know more about it. So with that, I also request most of our speakers would be giving the confidence for applying a job, so you can just go ahead and apply and connect with the all the speakers so that you can just get the networking. And sometimes If they are not reachable, you have your burning questions, we are always available so that you can connect back with us, and we should be able to figure it out based on your request what could be the next step. So with that, I think I am not sure about the questions. Let me see any of them. One question, probably a quick answer, I'm going to just ask about it. Tiaga, so you tell us about what kind of roles are corporates are hiring, because you work for a Fortune 500 client. How is that from the traditional to current hiring has been evolved? Give me the quick insights of that.
Right. So I think, of course, there are certain new types of roles that are coming in that we discussed, right? Like agent orchestration, right? Like, can I be an expert at a agentic solution that is in the market? But I feel like more than that, all the existing roles are disrupted, right? For example, uh, just say for software engineering, right? The kind of interviews that we were doing in the last 5 years, right? That pattern has changed, right? For example, vibe coding is now a skill, right? You are given like about 1,000 file project, and you are asked, okay, you have a 1 hour and you need to build this feature, right? It's no more design solution. So uh, every role, I feel like, the hiring pattern has changed. Of course, there are players, leaders in the space who are leaping forward. But eventually, I think, once the big players start changing their style of interviews, I believe rest will also follow.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tiaga, for taking a time and being with us. And we would be connected, and I'm sure our community members would be applying for the careers. And we will also, as we discuss, come back and figure it out how we can collaborate and create more opportunity to make sure these community members are really able to at least come to the interview state to get to know about where are they standing about it. So once again, thank you very much, and looking forward to bring you again. Take care, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Tiaga. Right. So now it is time to just bring our other excellent panels where they are waiting just to say that, okay, first, they wanted to talk about technology. Tiaga has already set it up saying that this is what is just going to be on the context of it. So now I'm really proud to just bring all our speakers. Probably I'll just share once again screen just to have a recollect of who are all the speaker we are just going to bring over here. Yes. So the next we are just going to have a panel discussion with our experts to talk about how are we just looking at the career lens and landscape, how it is just changing the world today. So we are going to have a Supreet HVR where he is just coming from the enterprise architect space. He is creating a altogether AI platform for Rhythmx, a pharma company. And we do have a Jason Bejot where he is a senior manager at Autodesk working on AI assistant and user experience fields to create a meaningful impact in the world. And we do have a Lakshmi Narasimhan. He is a director engineering for Capital One, heading the AI division. And finally, we have a AB Modi, who is just been an entrepreneur but rocking in the AI field on the pharma side. So with that, I'm just going to start my conversation. My straight question would be to all of you is AI is going to take away our job? Because that's the one fear we are all thinking about. Oh, AI has come, AI has come. So what's going to happen to me? So each of you are going to talk about from your perspective, is this question is a valid question? If valid, what should we do? If it is not valid, convince us we are in the safe zone. So that's where we are just going to start, and then quickly we are just going to be make this conversation. I do see the answers are coming. No, happy to hear that. But let's also hear from our experts what are they going to talk about it. So Jason, I would like to start the conversation with you. Just let me know, is AI is going to take away our job, especially from you?
Oh, no, thank you. Yeah, I don't think it is. From my personal experience and just thinking about the space, it's less about taking away jobs and more about like enabling you to do other things. and do things faster. So it's not about the number of jobs. It's about how effective can you be at doing the things that you're already doing. And there are certain things that AI can't do, like be creative and do things with your hands and things like that. So there are areas that it will touch but won't take things away for sure. But it's more of a thing that is going to empower people to do things at a completely different level.
Awesome. Okay, good. The same question I'm going to ask just to hear from your perspective. What's your answer? Because my next question is based on what you're going to talk about it. So let's just go and talk to Supreet. Supreet, tell me about it. Are we should be fearful or we are okay?
See, I think so there is definitely some uncertainty, right? So when we are faced with uncertainty, we always look at history. So look at internet revolution, for example. So what happened after internet revolution? That I think it created more jobs. Look at mobile, for example. So maybe it reduced the importance of web, but it ended up creating more jobs, right? So if you look at AI revolution, it'll probably do the same thing. So initially there will be a phase of disruption, which probably we are going through, and then probably go through for next and maybe another 3 to 5 years. But eventually there's going to be a lot more jobs. So when internet came in, like maybe even when computers came in, right? Maybe there were accountants who are scared of, okay, I don't have to do, I can't write my ledger anymore. But computers created a lot more jobs than it took away. So internet did the same thing, and then the mobile did the same thing. So I don't see why AI is going to be any different. So we're going to solve different problems. We're going to solve problems with genome folding. We're going to solve problems with geoengineering, climate. We're probably going to land on Mars. So there's a lot of problems to solve. I think humans are going to transition into solving complex problems rather than writing web pages. So I think maybe there's a phase of disruption, but I think eventually we'll have a lot more jobs and a lot more problems to solve.
Awesome. Thanks for instilling the confidence to say that, okay, still we can be, just take up the new jobs and then work on it. Thank you. Lakshmi, just your thoughts, your thoughts.
I think the two speakers said it all. It definitely is going to change what we do, and more importantly, how we go about doing things. So think of LLMs and agentic AI like a child with superpowers. Child still needs guardrails. The child still needs clear instructions. The child still needs budgets and stuff like that. So definitely, if you're kind of keen on specific technology, that way of doing things might change, but the end outcome is going to be driven in a much more rapid and a faster way than what we have ever done before in the past. So yeah, it's not going to change. It might disrupt your current way of you doing things, but if you know your domain, if you are adept in learning your systems, then yeah, the sky is the limit.
Awesome. Okay, finally, Modi, just sum it up our thoughts. Should we be fearful or we are okay?
Well, the answer is yes and no. AI will change our jobs, as all the speakers have summarized. But to the point of Lakshmi and what Supreet had mentioned, we have to think about the human psychology now more, and all the workflows that we've been executing in our day-to-day life to carry out our job we need to figure out how agentic AI can do that better. So that's kind of where we're transitioning. But to the point, if we look at our current next 5 years trajectory of whatever we have learned so far and what we have been doing it, absolutely AI is going to do those things much better and faster. And instead of being fearful of AI taking those tasks away from us, we should constantly focus on how can we enable ourselves where we can leverage this agentic AI so we can think about the next set of problems.
Awesome. So thank you so much. So with that context, now let's open up from your field, especially because we have people from the architect side, developer side, and also consulting side, and as an entrepreneur. So I'm just going to ask you to stay with your domain and with your field, what you're talking about. So put yourself in our shoe rather, right? So for example, if I'm just going to ask a question to Jason, tell me about it as a developer or a UI creative person. what should I just do in order to increase my probability of getting more opportunity? What should I do? Please help me out.
Ooh, that's a big question. I'll try to answer it simply. So what should you do in like the design-ish sort of world in this new AI sort of space? I think one of the things that you should do is honestly just be curious. It starts there. Try all the things that you're hearing about, gain that experience, both at work and outside of work. Everything that you're following, all those passions, all those interests that you're following, will then reflect back into your work too. It's sort of that whole, with the idea of bringing your whole self to work. It's not necessarily just about your like your hobbies and things like that. It's about all the things that you're learning outside of like your working hours too. How it's shaping your thinking, how it's shaping your approaches to things. So I think it really starts with being curious and just trying all the things. The more experience you get working with different AI tools, exploring the different methodologies, different technologies that are coming out, following all the news, it's going to be putting you in a better position incrementally. So I think that's probably where I would start.
Perfect. Thank you. So, Lakshmi, let me just move on to the same part for a managerial person, because I know tech people, we can just say that, yeah, you can just learn this technology. And if I am in a managerial position, put yourself in my shoe, that if I'm a manager, how do I create more opportunity to grab more AI related roles, knowing that I have not upskilled so far? That's also a caveat for you to just address it. Go on.
Oh, that's a tough question, Manjula. Yeah, I mean, the first thing is what Jason said, be curious. Now, the traditional growth was essentially what we used to call as a climbing a ladder, where there was a clear path for you to move from A to B. But with generative AI, agentic AI, large language models, it's more like navigating a landscape, which means rather than relying on a single tool or a technology, you need to be able to learn and use systems which solve the problem the most fastest way, the cheapest way, the most accurate way. Which means number one is staying curious and learning about things. Number two is, unfortunately, the line between manager and a technologist is blurring a lot. With essentially LLMs in place, they have the ability to convert a business problem into workable code if you know what you're asking for, which essentially means that whether you are an engineering manager or a people manager, your ability to create or translate a business problem into an effective working solution is the key role. And so I would strongly encourage managers to understand how technology is shaping up, how their teams can fit into it. And a lot of times when we say generative AI, we are primarily talking only about the whole prompt engineering space, but then there's a whole lot of engineering muscle that goes around getting this ecosystem to work. DevOps play a very critical role. Prompt engineering is one aspect of it, but then there's so much of observability work that has to happen to ensure that these models stay within the guardrails, budgeting, and all of those things, etc. There's a whole lot of Kubernetes cloud-based infrastructure, which you still are super, super relevant in the cloud space and in generative AI space. So if you are a manager, encourage your team to learn these technologies. You learn yourself these technologies, play around with them, write code, put them up on GitHub, ask people to collaborate. That's the best way for you to equip yourself for the new world.
Brilliant. Okay. So reiterating, saying that you start learning. What you just do, it's up to you, but just go and start learning. That's the message I'm just getting. Thank you. And thanks for just keeping your questions on. Feel free to just put your question wherever time permits. We'll also ask the experts to talk about it. And Supreet, you're going to tell us about the architect point of view, because you have an architect for a different technology, but then now it is all converging. Even a one architect constrained with a one of the technology doesn't add value in the industry. Tell us about your view.
See, I think what we have to look at today's world is there is nothing called job security, right? So it's more of skill security. So definitely, whether if you are in a technology space, the primary thing that you would need is to shift in mindset. Uh, Learning cannot be a one-off thing or a phase. It has to become a practice. So I think technologies are going to come and go. Like years back, GDI Plus was a big thing, and maybe now nobody knows about GDI Plus. There were times when somebody knew GDI Plus, they would pay them anything to hire them. But today, no, we don't use that technology. So I think many technologies will come and go. But I think the mindset shift is what is primarily required. And definitely today's world, I would say AI fluency is probably a word that we will use. That is being able to collaborate and generate value with AI, right? So it's not going to be as to what you know. It's all about what you are able to create. Um, as Lakshmi was also mentioning, so the roles are blurring today, right? So a few days back, I had a sales manager come with a beautiful code implemented, not a beautiful PPT, but a beautiful app. And that's how things are going to be. So AI fluency, I would think, is the primary thing. Being able to work with AI to create value is what's going to define as going to be the primary skill going forward in the next decade.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for the insight. And Modi, you're just going to sum it up because I'm also going to add the two questions which is there in the Q&A part of it to add it. If I'm coming from the break, or if I wanted to pivot my, especially there's a question, finance side, I am part of it, I have to pivot that part of it. So how do I build myself to just create more opportunity for me being from these two spaces? Help us out.
Yeah, so I would say the number one thing would be to ask as many questions you can to yourself about your past experiences, to then ask to understand what can we do today with all the AI tools that are at our disposal to, I would say, fully or semi-automate all of those. Well, so coming from pharma background, we are highly regulated industry, and we always have to have a human in the loop. And for that reason, we always try to figure out what are the steps agentic AI can perform on my behalf today, where at the end of the day, I become the auditor. So if you upgrade your skills in those regards, asking all the questions, identifying the opportunity to automate the workflow with agentic AI, then you're better preparing yourself for the next set of role.
Perfect. So with that, now let's just transition to figure it out. If I have to look out for an opportunity and how do I prepare myself? Maybe this question would be starting from Lakshmi because he coaches many of the people. So help me out to transition. What is my step-by-step process I should just navigate and go through, Lakshmi?
Yeah, as with every great question, the question is going to be better than the answer that I'm going to give. The landscape is large. So as I said, when people generally talk about generative AI or agentic AI, they are thinking of this magical thing which just creates websites, generates PowerPoints, or draws a beautiful image, etc. But put it into a large enterprise context. There are a lot of critical support roles that go into building this infrastructure, maintaining this infrastructure, validating the models, etc. So depending on your current career path, if you are, let's say, a database administrator, now a critical skill for you to pick up in the generative AI world will be to understand how do vector DBs work. If you are a backend engineer, there is still a whole lot of relevance of backend engineers because even with MCP sort of protocols, there's still a lot of interactions between the models that needs to be managed. If you're a cloud engineer, there's nothing like that. You are living in the best of your world. All of these models typically run on the cloud, either natively hosted or on public clouds. So your relevance will slightly shift from maintaining deterministic systems to be able to create these GPU-driven cloud infrastructures and supporting their ability to scale up and down, build observability, buildability, etc. If you're a QA engineer, your role kind of changes. Rather than validating the output of a program, you now have to start validating the hallucination of a model, for example. So these are skills that are very readily pickable. So rather than shooting for one North Star esoteric goal, I would start looking at finding the adjacent path or the equivalent path of yours in the generative AI world. Upskill yourself with those set of specific capabilities that will help you to perform and transition into a agentic or a Gen AI world where your skills will still be very relevant. It's just that you'll be operating slightly different. I don't know whether I answered much.
No, you did answer, and it also resonates with what Modi was talking about. Go back to your experience and ask your questions, what and all you know about it. And same thing, you also resonated. Look at your, with that input, look at your sideway and top and lower way, what are all the opportunities we can build around, whichever the field you are in, whether you're a developer or you're administrator, whatever it is, brilliantly you've just said about it. Anybody would like to chime in and then add other pointers? Jason, Supreet, Modi, anybody would like to just add more to that before I just go to the next one?
Yeah, maybe just a point. So maybe I'll add an unpopular opinion here. So yeah, if it is, yeah, it's always nice to, say, okay, I do incremental, change. Okay, I have X and I will do an X plus one. But also keep in mind that any place worth getting there is going to be hard. So don't pick up too low a bar, which is not going to yield results. So if you're going to look for results, pick a bar which is high, and it's going to be hard. But if you get there, it's going to be worth it.
Perfect. So probably, Jason and Modi, you would like to just do that, or I'll just go with the next part?
I just want to add one quick note to what Supreet has mentioned earlier, where one of his manager brought in an app instead of PowerPoint presentation, and showing that level of productivity and the time saving to the organization is the key. Don't hide behind ChatGPT responses, I would say, or any LLM responses, and say you took 20 hours to complete this task, but in reality, you completed in 20 minutes. So show the benefit of doing things faster, and that's what organizations wants to see. So yeah, that's just one note from my end.
Awesome. Jason, would you like to just chime in?
Yeah, I think especially coming out of a break, one thing to do to help track your progress, because there's one of the common themes here is there's no one right path to getting that next opportunity. Find a way to track the things that you've done. Find a way to reflect back on where you've been to figure out where you are today, so that you understand, so you can go back and see how much you've progressed. That can help from just like a positivity, like mental aspect as well, but it will help you understand where you need to go next to find that next right fit role.
Awesome. Sure. And I do see Lakshmi is just responding. So I'm just going to pick up that question. So just to people will get into that a little more about it, because one of the things I would like to just hear from you, because being in this field for a decade plus to bring women back to work. So one thing what we keep telling them is skilling is a one story. Second story is your practical application. Unless an employer sees that practical application, it doesn't give the leeway for them to just show the confidence they are the right person. But similar way, I'm just seeing Lakshmi has just given that if I am from QA background, I wanted to come back with the AI ready, what should I just do that? Lakshmi, just your answer you're also going to brief me about. Just start with that.
Sure. I keep telling my team this mantra: just magnify your strengths, manage your weaknesses. Not everyone needs to be a prompt engineer. Not everyone needs to be an awesome infrastructure specialist. If you have built deep expertise and experience in a domain, find out how you can magnify your strength in that domain in the new arena of generative AI, so to speak. I put an article which I incidentally wrote a couple of weeks ago, essentially comparing the roles as they're probably going to evolve between deterministic programming structures and statistical models like large language models. So the role of QA engineer is very interesting, right? Like, as I said earlier, the QA engineers probably will move away from writing test cases which check the correctness of a specific output, because there is no correct output in a large language model. They are reinforcement learning systems which can provide different outputs depending on what you ask them to do. A slight change in your tone or the words that you use to inject a context might produce very different results. So QA more becomes like the guardrails to prevent the models from hallucinating or throwing up random stuff that doesn't exist at all. So rather than checking whether the answer is correct, how do you evaluate whether the response is useful, truthful, and in some cases consistent? Now that becomes the thought process of the QA engineer. Now to do that specifically, you become people who test how the models do the reasoning. If the model was a black box and you throw something in and something comes out, you need to start building intuition about how the models are reasoned to come with a specific output. Then you start designing benchmarked data sets which can try to mimic how the model is thinking. As I said, check for hallucinations, biases, and maybe feedback systems that need be to ensure that the model kind of stays consistent in its responses. So this is probably how QA engineers can find a space in the generative AI where their superpowers can still be harvested and put to a use there.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you for just bringing that context. The different thinking process can be applied. So now I'm just going to shift a little different question to each of you, but the same question to all of you to reflect on it. So though we are just talking to you as an expert, and every expert has their moment where you would have had a low moment, you would have also just transitioned from one to another, right? So that would be another inspiration for us to know that, oh, okay, we are also can just come up, or we can just take your incident as an example, not to get too low. So I'm just going to ask you, what was that moment? Because all of you, more than a decade you were in the industry, you have transitioned from one to another, not that you are in the straight line. So there was that moment which you made it positive, or it just gave you a different lessons for us to learn from you. So maybe Modi, I'm going to ask you this first, because I'm sure one of the strength I find it really high-fi to you, Modi. Being an entrepreneur, I know what is the problem statement, because I'm also in the same industry. I can completely resonate, not in the corporate job. So staying over there right from the college, and you are standing tall, kudos to you, love you for that. Just tell me about it, your journey, about your low moments in every shift. How did you come across?
Yeah, so for me, not going to the corporate world was intentional decision. Is because as an entrepreneur, your number one job is to solve problems. And in order for you to solve the problem, you need that creativeness, you need that autonomy to navigate. And I've seen from my friends and family and other folks who are in the corporate world how they couldn't bring in the ideas and suggestions because of the corporate bureaucracy. And I'm not saying every corporate is like that, but I'm saying in general, to bring the solution, you need that level of creativity. So now going back to your original question, how do you keep up with this changing requirement and how do you pivot? To me, I never look at it as a pivot. The way I look at it is, okay, here's a problem that needs to be solved for corporate America, and they have resources, but they're not able to solve it. Now, every company or every business who needs a solution, they're always going to look for a faster, better, and cheaper solution because that's the nature of business. So when I'm looking at the solution to the problem, I'm always trying to figure it out. What are some of the tools and technologies I can use today to solve those problems faster, better, and cheaper? And that always create curiosity in me to learn about new technology. And so instead of me using VS Code to generate solution for an organization, why don't I use Cursor, which is allowing me to generate those outputs 1000x faster. So to me, understanding what is the problem statement, how do I make it better, faster, and cheaper is my pathway to constantly pivoting and learning new technology.
Awesome. So pivot is not the choice, and it is just that curiosity where you just move one to another. That's what I'm just hearing. Thank you.
Correct.
Supreet, how about you? Tell me about your lows, or was there any learning which can be applied for us?
Sure. So I was very fortunate to work for a German company early on in my career as a fresher. So I got an opportunity to work with a lot of architects from Germany who had, systematically, German engineering, right? So we hear that, and that's not for no reason. So I got a chance to work with a lot of these architects and learn early on. So that helped me really grow fast in my career. But as a few years passed on, especially I think let's say something like 4 years back, what I realized is that information has now been democratized, right? Everybody knows everything. So if you want to learn from somebody in MIT, of course there's videos out there. You go learn from somebody from MIT. You want to learn from Andrew Ng, he's out there in Coursera. Just go learn from Andrew Ng. So this information and knowledge is now democratized. So I could not hold on to the same edge anymore that I had built my entire career on. So then I took a conscious decision that yes, I had to learn something new. Then I started on a very focused journey on switching, not just being an architect, but being an AI architect. And I spent a lot of time. And as I said, I took up the really hard problems, deep learning, and some of these really hard problems. And actually, what I realized when I started doing it is my system thinking that I had developed during my earlier years really helped me to actually work as a catalyst. And in last 4 years, since I started doing that, I have made more strides than I probably made from 10 years before that. So that's something I learned over the period.
Brilliant. Awesome. So thanks for just sharing that, right? This is where we need to know about it. You being an expert doesn't seems to be everything is a green in your side. There is always also up and down. How do we navigate? That's where we would be able to learn about it. Jason, let us know about your version.
Ooh, uh, that's a good question. There are definitely a few lows in my career. I feel like you can't have a good career if you don't go through those ups and downs. I think one that comes to mind is when I first joined Amazon. So I was a designer, a UX designer at Disney, working on enterprise software, so internal pieces of software. And then I got hired at Amazon to work in Alexa. I'd never done anything specifically within the AI space. Never done anything voice forward. And so the moment I started, it was very exciting, but it was also like felt like I didn't know what I was doing. It's like, do I actually belong here? So I made a very conscious decision to to explore all the avenues I possibly could, whether it was from the technology, whether it was from different teams, connect with as many people as I possibly could, so that I could figure out how to operate not only within a company that is immensely larger than any other company I'd ever worked for before, to understand how it works, establish those relationships, figure out what are the different processes, but also understand how does how are the products that I'm working on actually work, as I approach my work, and then leaning on the experts internally too, because they've been doing this for a long time. What can I learn from them? How can I start to produce products, solve product problems that are valuable and can actually get launched? So there was a very conscious decision to just essentially be in learning mode for a while, until I cut my teeth on like the first few projects they were fine, but they weren't quite good enough. You had to go back and iterate until eventually one day it started to click, and then from there it was it was not just learning mode, but then growth mode, and then just like execute and make all the things. And so that shift came about very very suddenly, and was great. It was a fantastic feeling of like, cool, I feel like the training wheels on the bicycle kind of came off, and then you can just start running. And it was a very very humbling experience because I was already like 15 years into my career at that point. So you really had to consciously make like kind of like pull yourself back. It's like, I don't really know this space that well, so how can I get there? So yeah, it was a fantastic learning experience.
Awesome. Thanks for just sharing that. That's the life, and the more you are, as you said, be curious and ready to learn and ready to work, and you just get payoff one day. So that's what we are seeing it. Thanks for just sharing that. And Lakshmi, your ups and down journey, anything we can learn, just final one.
Sure. So I have pivoted multiple times in my career. I started as a software engineer, became a manager, then went back into becoming an IC, went back into a manager. I mean, I've done this several times in my career, but the recent one was actually right after I left Uber. That I had about a couple of months gap. That's actually when I completely pivoted. I had time, and then I was used to a fast-paced work. So rather than just sitting and waiting for my next role, I actually said yes to a lot of gig opportunities, no pay opportunities. So I actually started working for 3 or 4 startups. They were not paying me anything, but I could learn some of the systems, some of the technologies, some of the domains. And I ended up writing more code than I had ever written the past decade. I also started writing blogging blogs, started networking. So my philosophy on this is very simple. The best way to beat anxiety is activity, which means if you're feeling anxious about whether your role is going to go away, whether something is going to replace it, figure out the activity that can upskill you, prove your capabilities to others, etc. So I started writing code, started publishing a lot of articles. I put my code on GitHub. I started working with completely strangers to learn different domains, etc. Number 2, as I said, is I had to go back and rebuild my craft. It was very easy for me to just go into prompting and stuff like that, but then I went back into the basics of core CS fundamentals, understand reinforcement learning, learned a little bit more about how do you kind of build self-attention, some of those core fundamentals which helped me understand and appreciate how the models actually work. And then continuous learning. The pace at which the systems today work are so rapid that I had to constantly keep learning. Last but not the least, a very practical tip that I used myself. Rather than investing in costlier subscriptions for ChatGPT, Gemini, etc., I don't know how many of you know, there is a system called Olama, which essentially allows you, if you have a reasonably decent PC, like I have one with about 8 GB RAM, you could download the large language models and run them. They will not perform as fast as you would run it on a GPU on the cloud, but you can actually install some of these models locally, write code to interact with them. So you get a real feel of how they actually work. And you really feel good when you can see that some of these, especially the smaller models, can actually be run from your own laptop. So that was a great way for me to really get my hands wet to understand how the systems work. So that gave me a lot more confidence that this is not some magical thing that I need to be afraid of, but this is something that I could actually touch and feel. And that helped me to accelerate my learning as well.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. So this is what we need, because most of the time we just get to know about very nice things about it, but what's going inside in your mind, how did you overcome? That's where we would be able to figure it out. When you can just do it, we can also just figure it out. How do we do that? So AI is a vast field which is just coming up, and tomorrow also we have a mentors exclusively. As I said, we do have a track for architect track. Supreet is going to lead it, and we do have a track by Lakshmi to just talk about how do you transition your career, and then you can just come along and work with them. And we do have a PABM where Atul is just going to come and talk about it. Even people are asking about, I'm from non-IT, how do I come? We have created a track for that to just talk about it. And the developer Enrico from Europe is just coming and joining. So this is exclusively where right now I'm just exploring the questions from speakers and giving it to you. There you would be able to ask them. You can ask anything and everything about what you wanted to know, and you would be able to change the track as well. So once again, I would like all of you to just come tomorrow and experience about those tracks to connect with the speakers directly by you. In case if you know your friends also going through the similar challenges, I request ask them to register and then come back. So with that, you would be able to connect more meaningfully with all the mentors tomorrow who have been lined up. But today I really would like to take personally a thanks, because all of them are in a very busy schedule. Some of them are sitting in the night time with me, some of them are sitting in the daytime with me. So thanks to each and every one of you for taking a time and then spending a time with our community. But I believe what we can just share is where, so even a couple of members are going to take this, and it's going to be a game changing for everybody. So once again, heartfelt thanks for each and every one of the speakers today where you've been part of it. And thanks for the community members. Like Thiaga was saying, I am really happy to see you have taken that courage and the confidence. Even you're sitting now with us to know, oh, what are they going to talk about? So please stay with that, and we will also be able to come back and talk about different careers where we are going to all the speakers and our partners to curate and then give it to you. Right now also we are sitting close to around 300 plus jobs across the geography. So you can also connect with us to just get those kind of opportunities. How do we do that? So please stay in touch with us. And the third day, which is going to be on Wednesday, we are bringing UiPath is bringing another session exclusively for handcrafting your personal resume. That's 1.5 hour session has been curated for you. So if you just look at that, you have just taken an 8-day course. We have not left you alone. We have just brought the industry experts to give you what is the landscape is happening. And you are also going to the mentor track. What is that you can learn from the mentor? Finally, we are also taking you to the workshop to create your resume and start navigating. With that, we believe we can be able to create a more people coming into the AI with ease. So thank you so much, Modi, Lakshmi, Supreet, and Jason. It's pleasure to interacting with you, and thanks for taking your time and sharing your two important assets from your end, your time and the wisdom. We love you for that, and we really enjoyed. And once we connected with our community mentor, most of the time we are connected for a life. So I'm sure I'm going to carry this lifetime a mentorship with all of you for our community. Wishing you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Manjula, and thank you, all of you. That was amazing session. That was really inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you all. See you tomorrow. Take care. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Bye.